Good afternoon, good evening, Berg, as it is a little bit later across the pond. My fellow hoodie man, good to see you. We're back with an
Good.
episode of Fantasy PD. This week's installment, I know we've been releasing them week by week, so it has been a fun season to follow along with. But we do have a friend of Fantasy PD. It is not Randy Berg. No, no, no. It is Andy Berg. So, welcome aboard, Berg. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. How are you, Peter?
I am wonderful. Do you have any big plans for the weekend?
I am going to the Netherlands for the first time in my life. I'm excited for it.
All right. Anything on the docket while you're there? Any districts you're going to be visiting? Anything that you're planning to do?
No, I think I'm going to be doing a different trip than Matt Nick did when he went last year. I'll be spending a little time in Utrecht, Netherlands first, and then Amsterdam. But yeah, probably different spots than Matt Nick saw.
Okay. If you ask around, they might have heard about Matt Nick. So,
Yeah, I might ask.
all right. Make sure you do. All right. Well, let's jump into it. We're going to start this festivities and in the spirit of Thanksgiving, something you won't be able to actually celebrate this year. Will you be eating turkey tomorrow?
No, probably not. We're gonna have a Thanksgiving when we get back next weekend, though.
Okay. Okay. Very nice. Well, we are going to do a blind ranking challenge. So I've got seven holidays. Have you ever done
Mhm.
one of these before? You know what I'm talking about?
Am I just ranking things?
So you rank them, but you have seven slots, so one through seven. But I give you one, and you have to put that in a slot. So if I give you your favorite sport
I
as an
see.
example, and I say football, and you put it at three, and then I say the next sport, you can put it anywhere else, but three has been taken.
Yep, I think I've seen this before. I know what you're
All
talking about.
right. Seven. You have seven spots, okay?
Okay.
And the theme of this, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, is your favorite holidays. We're going to rank these. Blind rank Berg's holidays. So the
Hmm.
first one, Thanksgiving. On a one through seven, where do you put that?
Two.
Two. Thanksgiving is two. Okay. Very
It's
high.
always
You're
one
a
of my
big Thanksgiving
favorites.
guy.
Yeah, low stress. Don't have to buy presents or anything. You just, enjoy each other's company, eat some good food, and relax. I love it.
All right. Any favorite dish on Thanksgiving?
Potatoes and gravy.
Okay. Mashed, sweet.
Yeah, mashed potatoes.
All right. So we've got Thanksgiving at two. Halloween,
Uh, I'll put that at five.
five. Not a big dress up guy.
No, it's always fun once I actually get there and am dressed up and having fun, but I don't know, just not one I usually look forward to that much.
Okay. We won't talk about that since that's your fifth. Something that might have dropped in the rankings since, or maybe it gave you more, appreciation for the holiday. The 4th of July.
That would be number three for me. I love the 4th of
Okay.
July. The weather is always wonderful. I love warm, hot weather, and my family always has a nice 4th of July together.
Very nice. Very nice. Did you celebrate? Oh, well, you were still here at that time,
Yeah,
so it'd be interesting if they shoot off fireworks next year while you're in England, or maybe fly back.
I'll at least be shooting them off myself if I'm here for it. It's the big 250 next year, so I'm gonna go big if I'm not home for that week.
Oh, that is right. 250. Barry, that's some
Hmm.
good math. You are ready. You moved away for 250. That is a sad day.
It was poor
Uh,
timing.
fla Next one, Flag Day.
Ooh, I'll put this one at number seven. I
Okay.
can't say I've ever celebrated Flag Day other than I think we hung up a flag at our house a couple times growing up, maybe.
Okay. Which flag?
The American flag for
Okay.
Flag Day. I think
This
that's what
one.
you're supposed to do at least. I'm sorry to all the Flag Day lovers out there, but I just don't know enough about your celebration.
All right. So we've got Thanksgiving at two, 4th of July at three, Halloween at five, Flag Day at seven. So we have one, four, and six still open. Christmas.
Ooh, I should have known that was coming probably.
Yeah, I don't know how you didn't know this one was coming.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with it actually though. I'm gonna go with number four. I think that's the right spot for it. It's the biggest holiday that I get excited for every year, but it is freezing cold. I hate that. And I have to buy a bunch of presents, which I don't really like. I don't really like getting presents either. So yeah, it's not as good as the wonderful Thanksgiving or 4th of July.
Okay. So we have got the one spot and the six spot open.
Mhm.
All right. Your next holiday, Martin Luther King Day.
Uh, yeah, let's see. I'm trying to think of what I did this last Martin Luther King Day. Um, I believe I spent it with my friend Jake Stiles because him and I always had work off. We were some of the only two to get it off. Proud to have the day off. So I'm gonna put that at number one because I don't see it being number six. Um, it's been a fun day the last few years because, like I said, Jake and I have it off. So one year we went to a Bucks game together. This year I can't remember if we did anything specific or just hung out. I think he might have come up to Madison and spent the day together. So a good day to celebrate MLK and relax for a bit.
Very nice. Yeah, nice after, mid-January to have a day off like
Mhm.
that. And the last one is New Year's.
Oh yeah, I think that's six is appropriate for that.
Okay.
New Year's is always fun, but right after Christmas, I usually want some relaxation at that point, and we're going out partying and stuff. It's not as much my thing, so uh, I like putting that at six. I'm happy with my order. I think if I did it unblindly, I might have picked the same order.
Same exact. So we've got Flag Day at 7, New
Mhm.
Year's at 6, Halloween at 5, Christmas at 4, 4th of July at 3, Thanksgiving at 2, and Martin Luther King Day at number 1. It's a great list.
Yeah,
I don't see anything wrong with that. That's how I thought it would go. So, congratulations. Thank you for playing
yeah.
along, Berg. Good to have you.
Thanks, Pete.
All right, let's jump into it. So, I think that segues us over to Berg's power rankings. These are never scrutinized in the group by certain people that play on the Busty Bowl, but let's hear it, Berg.
All right. I went through all the teams, and these power rankings are based off the top of them are who I think has the best chance to win the championship, and the bottom of it is who has the best chance to lose it all and be bowling or running or whatever the punishment might be. So starting from the top, I have myself. I've got a stacked lineup, as we all know. There's a couple stacked lineups in the league, but I don't think either of the top two teams right now are as good as the next couple, which I think some people might be surprised about. But I think those two, or if I can squeak in and get a buy, it would be very big for me. But I like my chances a lot. Second, I have Cole. Like I said, I don't think his team is as good as some of the others behind him, but he is already locked in the playoffs. He pretty much has a get bye guaranteed at this point. Uh, so I think that gives him a great chance at winning one last matchup that he has to face in the playoffs. And still a good team also. Third, I've got Dan. Similar to me, I think Dan's got a great roster, but he needs to have a few things go his way to get that by. And we'll see. The big week for him last week put him above me in points for, so that could be a big difference. Fourth, I have Chris. Chris, kind of same as Cole. Of Chris's lineup isn't as good as Cole's, first of all, but Chris is in a bye right now. There's only 2 weeks to go. Um, so it's his spot to lose at this point. So I've got Chris there at four. Fifth, I've got Nick. Um, Nick still has to put in a little bit of work to make the playoffs, as does Dan and I. Maybe Chris, probably not though. But Nick's got a really solid starting lineup. Could be a tough matchup in the playoffs, but no chance of the bye really at this point for him. And then sixth is you, Peter. I think those top six teams are the ones that I'm thinking are going to be in the playoffs, or at least have the best odds right now. Uh, and yeah, Pete, I think your lineup is pretty good as well. Probably better than Chris's, but probably not as good as the rest. Um, but it's still a good roster. And then I think there's a pretty big drop off though after we go through those top six. So the next two are Toy and Shaw. I've got Toy slightly above Shaw. Both of them are there because they still have a chance at the playoffs. But Toy, I think, has a slightly better lineup, even though I don't really like either lineup too much. Um, and so that's seven and eight. Nine is Milk. Milk, I actually think, has a decent roster. He still could make the playoffs as well, but would need a couple things to go his way. And then if he does make the playoffs, I don't think his team's as good as many of the teams that are up there. So it's an uphill battle for him to make the playoffs. And then if he makes it into playoffs, he's got another uphill battle from there. And then the bottom three, this is where it's pretty rough. Start with Hebert. He's got CMC at least. That's the best thing I can say about any of these bottom three teams. And then there's Matt Nick. I've got 11th. And then Jake, who didn't want to trade with me at the trade deadline because for keepers, because he was still playing for this year, I've got 12th.
Okay.
That was a
So
lot,
let's go
Pete.
through. So you had top six up through myself. Then you had, did you have Toy or Shaw first or second there?
Toy would be seventh, Shaw eighth.
Shaw eighth. Ninth, once again,
Ninth was Milk.
Milk. Then we've got 10,
Hebert,
Hebert, and then we have Matt Nick. And we've got,
Jake.
what are you doing, Step Burrow? I don't necessarily disagree with those power rankings. I see how things playing out very similarly, especially as we'll get into playoffs. Before we get into that and maybe talking about playoff scenarios, because we've got a big week here. Um, is there anything that you were surprised at? I know you called out Jake for not, maybe pushing through a trade. Care to share what that trade was that you were hoping to get? Maybe somebody like Puka Nacua, get the wide receiver stack on your team, or what were you hoping for?
A third Ram would have been great, but I don't recall offering a certain trade. I think I just messaged him and asked if he was looking to trade for keepers and if anyone interests me on his team, and he just said he was still locked in on winning it all this year.
Okay. Um, Interesting. Well played. Is there anybody else that you were surprised maybe didn't make a move for a keeper at the deadline with the
I
state of the
thought I was
team,
just a little
especially having
surprised that
moved up the deadline?
yeah, I think that did change some stuff. Like maybe like Jake would have been trading if we had the deadline this week instead. But I was a little surprised that just the value for keepers went down. It felt like a little bit this year. Last year, people were trading anything they had for just a few keepers, and this year it didn't seem like people did as much. I think part of it is though the deadline being moved back. More teams had a shot. It's hard to give up and trade for keepers if even if you've got like a 10-20% chance. It's hard to give up on a season like that. And then also the punishments might be a little tougher this year, which might be persuading some people to keep it. Losing a round of your keeper as well is part of that. So
I was just going to bring that up. I think that's a rule a lot of people have forgotten about that if you lose the
mhm.
toilet bowl, you will lose a round of value on your keeper. So
Yeah.
you would not, hypothetically, you would not be able to keep somebody in the second round, right? You would not be able to keep a second round pick if you lose the toilet bowl, which is a pretty big deal.
You could still keep a second round pick. They would just be a second round pick next year.
That is correct. I was going the wrong way.
Yeah.
Wait, no, they wouldn't. Because they would have to move
Yeah.
up to a first round and then they would be a negative round. So you couldn't keep a second round pick.
Oh, no. Yeah, you're right. I was wrong on that. But
You
that is
went the
correct.
opposite way.
Yeah, it's like how you can't keep a first rounder this year. You wouldn't be able to keep a second rounder.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. I hadn't really thought about that. Third rounder turns into, I don't think, I've always thought about it like a sixth to a fifth, whatever. But when you start getting into a third to a second and a fourth to a
Mhm.
third, like that's a big jump. You can't keep a second rounder. You omit a whole value, a whole, and there are cases we have seen historically people keep from a second to a first round. I imagine somebody will be making that play next year. Um,
Yeah. It'll
so
make a difference though. Guy like you're planning on keeping Lad McConkey in the fifth and he'd lose the toilet bowl. Sixth round, like that could be where he's projected to go and make the difference of keeping him or not.
Lad McConkey is not a keeper, but good example.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, Shaw traded for him. I think thinking he was a keeper. And on that note, Commissioner, I would like to thank you for all your hard work this year. And I would like to thank you for the way you handled things yesterday. I know things got a little bit blown up. Things got, brought at you. Chris obviously did not start somebody in his flex, and I know that that was frustrating. And I would like to appreciate you for coming full circle on what happened and understanding historically that has been a play that Chris has executed, sometimes to perfection and sometimes not to perfection. And so, with the state of our benches and keeping handcuffs, I'd like to thank you for coming full circle, having a bush light, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, the bush light at the end of the tunnel, and we hope that your Thanksgiving is just wonderful. And wherever you're spending it, Florida, upstate New York, that it's a wonderful time. And you get to enjoy the Eagles on Friday. And I will be rooting for the Eagles on Friday. So let's go Birds this Friday. Right, Bird?
Yeah, go Birds this one time.
Yeah, amen. All right, let's move into playoffs here. Oh, one other thing, I was a little bit surprised. Hebert, I think maybe didn't like because his team was so Christian McCaffrey heavy. I think a lot of people had inquired, including myself, about a trade for Christian McCaffrey. But once again, the punishments are a little bit worse. Somebody he wants to probably keep on his team to go forward for the toilet bowl potentially. Hebert, without a week 14, which is pretty rough because he has Tet and CMC and Drake May and one other person on by. It's going to be a tough lineup. He is not crazily far in points for behind, but unfortunately, those bye weeks would be a very tough hill for him to climb unless he has a miraculous week this week. So, just something to keep of note that Hebert, while very middling right now in the standings or bottom middling, there is a hope and a prayer there. Which brings us into the playoffs. So, Berg, I know I was going to say I was going to go through this, but let's have a little bit of a discussion here. So, I know you gave your power rankings. So, if we look at a playoff bracket, we'll kind of just take some teams that we know are going to be in and teams we know are going to be out. So, I'm pretty confident in saying Cole's going to be the number one seed. Do you have any disagreement on that?
I agree with you.
All right, Cole's going to be the one seed. He's going to have a bye. That brings us to who do we think is going to be out? Because I think that's more certain than anything else. So, and I'm not going to put rankings to the bottom six here. So I think Jake and Matt Nick are out. Those are
Yeah,
two teams that cannot make it. So those are both eliminated. Unfortunately, I'm also going to eliminate Hebert because of the bad week 14, and just being too far behind. Once again, a miracle could come into play. That brings us into the two seed here. So we have right now Chris with the two seed. Chris plays Cole and then he plays Matt Nick. Dan plays, I believe, Toy this week, and then I believe he plays. Does he play
Jake.
Toy this week? And then
I think
Jake.
so because Jake is the final week for Dan. Rivals.
So if Chris goes 1-1 and Dan goes 2-0, Dan gets the bye.
Hmm.
So I am going to predict that Dan ends up with the second bye.
Okay.
2-0. I think Chris beats Matt Nick, and I think he has a tough I believe Jamar Chase is going to score an unbelievable amount of points Thursday night, Thanksgiving. Joe Burrow returns, no T. Higgins. Last time that they played on a Thursday night against the Baltimore Ravens, he went for 50 points on Dan Miller's roster. I think that doesn't happen again in terms of 50 points, but I think a lot puts a very tough battle that would probably have the necessity to have a Jonathan Taylor massive game. So I'm going to put Dan at two. My playoff predictions are Cole number one. I have your power rankings here. Number one, Cole. Number two, Dan. I'm going to put Chris at the three seed. I think Chris gets the three seed. Now, this is interesting. This could flip because if I'm saying that he goes 1-1, Berg, what's your remaining schedule?
I have Jake this week and Nick next week.
Okay. So that could flip, but I'm going to put Chris at three. He's a little bit behind you in points four. If you go 1-1 and Chris goes 1-1, he's going to get the three seed, obviously, just based off of record. So I'm going to put Chris in at number three, picking who he gets to play, which we'll get into in a second. Berg, I will put you at the five seed because I think you're going to go 1-1.
All
And
right.
I think Nick's going to go 2-0 and get to 8-6, which would put you at 8-6. And Nick has a pretty heavy favorite, which 4-5, it doesn't matter where you end up. 4, 5, and 6, it doesn't matter. So I have you at the five seed. I have Nick at the four seed. And this is where it gets really, really interesting. That would put me likely in to the playoffs based off of points for. However, Milk is only 28 points behind me. We play each other this week. If I beat him, that's a big win, not just from a record standpoint, but that means I would have more points than him this week, at least 28 up going into 28 point whatever going into the final week. Where things get messy is you have Toy and Shaw who are also 6-6, effectively eliminated from points four. However, if either of them go 2-0 and neither Nick and I get in on record or get to 8-6, then I will likely miss the playoffs, and Milk will like Milk and I are likely out of it because Nick would jump into points for. But if Nick goes 2-0, this is where it gets interesting. They have to get it on record. If they both lose this week and one of Nick or I win, then at that point they are effectively eliminated because they could only get to 7 wins, and there will be 5 teams with at least 7 wins. So my final playoff projection on bracket is we've got Cole at number one, Dan at number two, Chris at number three, Nick at number four. That means he goes 2-0 to finish it. Cole at number, sorry, Berg at number five, and Pete at number six. And at that point, Chris is deciding who he wants to play. And Berg, what is your read on that situation?
My read is that I'll be playing Chris in the first week of the playoffs.
All right, we're gonna put you on the spot. So if our bracket has Cole with a bye, Dan with a bye, that faces you off against Chris. Who wins that matchup, you or Chris?
Me.
Okay. Nick plays Pete. Who wins that matchup?
It's a tough one, but I think Nick's gonna win that. Sorry, Pete.
That's fine. So now at that point, do our rules say Cole gets to pick who he plays?
Yes, I believe that was a change this year that and it follows in the second round as well.
Could he choose to play Dan?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Who does Cole choose to play?
Between Dan, me, and Nick. That's a tough one. A lot of it depends on matchups. I'd have to see who everyone's playing that week, but I think Cole's gonna pick me after he just beat me this week when I put up like 75 points.
Hey, that is true. So we've got semifinals of Cole versus Berg. Berg traveling to the Carolinas, and Nick traveling not to the Cayman Islands, but to UK to play a road game, London game, in Bristol game. First time ever the
Hmm.
NFL's taken it on to Bristol. So in that matchup, we've got Nick versus Dan. Who wins that matchup?
I'm gonna take Nick in that one.
So we've got Nick in the final. Then we've got Cole versus Berg. Who wins that matchup?
Gotta take myself.
If if you ain't betting on yourself, who's betting on you?
Exactly.
So we've got the two guys that Dan has ragged more than anyone. One of you
Hmm.
comes away with a buckle, and one of you is going to be in a position in this scenario that he's just going to be tapping that thing, you know? I've got a buckle. Berg,
Ah,
where'd your
I
mind
see.
go? Tapping his buckle in your face. We've got Berg versus Nick. Who wins? And
I think
who's
my
the
playoff
MVP?
experience
Who's the
wins it
MVP
for me.
of that game?
Well, it's got to be someone on my team because I'm gonna win.
Or it could be a dud on Nick's team.
That could be as well.
Right?
I
My MVP of my league of my year that I won it, Jordan Love. On the bench, Trevor Lawrence, MVP.
I'm gonna say Jackson Dart's gonna be the MVP of that game. I think he's gonna
Jackson
have a big
Dart.
week.
Berg wins. Will you buy a chain that rivals Jackson Dart's chain if you win?
I'll
Along with a
consider it.
belt,
Maybe I could get
buckle.
like a chain to attach the buckle to.
Would it
If I
hang
don't,
far enough down, or would the buckle stay up here,
Ooh.
or would you have it suspend all the way down so that it's kind of like you're into that BDSM stuff where you've got something around your neck, you know,
Because of the way you just phrased it, I think it would just be a normal sized chain with the buckle on it.
with a buckle up here? But
Yeah, but I could
how things go,
detach the buckle where it has a buckle.
depending on how things go in the Netherlands this weekend, that answer might change. So maybe we'll have to follow up on Monday.
Sounds good.
Okay, so there you have it. We've got Berg defeating Nick. Is it a high scoring affair or a low scoring, or is it a shootout? What's the vibe of your win?
I'm thinking Berg 140, Nick 82.
Okay, okay. And Jackson Dart goes for
32.
32. Okay,
Yeah, big week for him.
big week, big week. All right, Berg, you've predicted it. And then who's the toilet bowl? Who's the toilet bowl loser?
Well, we'd have to go through that as well.
Because you get a
I don't know.
buy out of it, right? Um, so we've got Milk, Hebert, Matt, Nick, Jake.
Yeah, let's say Matt, Nick, and Jake get the buys for being the last two, because I believe they're last two in standings right now. And then if Toy, let's say, was the top team to make it, he would get to pick his opponent. Probably take Hebert out of that crew. Uh, so Toy v Hebert. I'll say Hebert wins that. Toy moves on. Then we got
Oh, Toy
Shalby.
loses, even though he picks Hebert. Hebert comes in with the upset.
I think Heber might have a better team. I don't know. That one's close.
Okay.
Shaw versus Milk. Milk's got the better team. Milk wins it.
Milk. Okay.
Toy, we get
So
to pick
now
his opponent
we've
again.
got Hebert and Milk. Hebert was the lower seed in this scenario of Milk potentially. Or let's say Hebert actually be the higher seed because Milk Hebert has 5 wins, so Hebert has more wins. So who does Hebert pick between Milk, Matt, Nick, and Jake? You said wait, Milk would
Well,
win
no,
or
no,
lose.
because I said Hebert wins, so he goes
Oh
out of
yeah,
the toilet
Toy.
bowl.
That's right.
Yeah.
You have to go the flip way, so
So
it's a little
Toy
bit.
is still the top seed remaining at that point, and we get to choose between Shaw, Matt, Nick, and Jake.
Okay.
And it's flip a coin between Matt, Nick, and Jake. I think I would face Jake. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see who has more players projected double digits that week. It's not going to be many for either of them. But I think the two better teams win, Toy and Shaw. So we got the toilet bowl between Matt, Nick, and Jake. And I feel Matt Nick's gonna forget to set his lineup or miss some player on the waiver wire that he should have been picking up, and he will be bowling for 300.
So you answered my next question. He is going to pick the bowling challenge.
I
Is
think
your
so. I don't think he's gonna do an Iron Man, and I still don't think it's possible for any of us to eat that many hot dogs.
Do you think that he will be confident in his hot dog eating ability and potentially get to day 5 and regret the decision?
That's possible. I don't see him putting in the dedication to make hot dogs that many days in a row. He can't do a shotgun right now. Um,
Where is his current residence? Is it at home or in the house?
I think he's still living at his mom's place.
Okay, I'm just saying if he has someone to cook them for him.
That's true, but I guess I don't know that relationship well enough to know if she would cook him 70 hot dogs or whatever it is over the course of 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah.
It could. Maybe start them all early, And he could do it all in 2 days if he wanted to. He doesn't have to do it over 14 days,
Yeah.
Maybe he
Or he
gets
could
in
just
and
go to
he
the
just starts.
bowling alley, slam 15 beers, have 6 hot dogs, and try to bowl. And I feel like that's easier for him.
I am hoping that whoever does end up prevailing in the loss of the toilet bowl does select the bowling
Mhm.
situation. I'm just going to throw that out there. I think that would be the most fun if you are in, obviously if you're on the East Coast, I won't be able to see it. But let's say it's Hebert and he comes down. I would love to watch Hebert, try and rip a 300.
That would be a very fun event to attend live. I'd hope to at least see some live videos throughout or some Snapchats of
A
the
stream,
event.
maybe on
Yeah.
Fantasy PD. We'll see. Maybe Friends of
Yeah.
Madison has some commentary on there.
That would be excellent. Or we could get Milk's Twitch channel up by follow the milk chugging of 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I hear he's thinking about changing into a streamer these days. I know he won't watch this, but Milk, I hope you have a very wonderful Thanksgiving. Berg, thank you for joining us. Do you have anything else to leave the viewers with?
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And Peter, thanks for having me. This was good to get Fantasy PD going again.
It's happy to be back. It was a little bit last minute, so we weren't able to get the phone line out there. So Ryan, Randy, other listeners, we are sorry that you could not make it, but in the future we will be better. We'll go to the phones and get some updates and some thoughts on where you think the season is at, who you like, who you dislike. It's playoff season. Everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving and go Pack go.
Go Pack Go. Bye, everyone.